So, you've probably clicked on this video thinking, how on earth has someone's life been saved by failing? Well, in this video I'm going to run through exactly how I failed and how it managed to change my life forever. Hi, my name is Niall Bruce and I graduated from doing accounting and finance at university last year. And my time at university was quite a rocky one. I had quite a lot of setbacks when I was there, had a pretty terrible time for a lot of it, but at the end I managed to get myself out of the terrible times, and so that's kind of what I'm going to run through in this video. So I'm going to start with exactly what happened, how did I fail, when it happened, and then I'm going to run through all of the lessons that I learned from this and how this has shaped my life today. So, how did I fail? Well, it kind of starts in first year, where I basically had come out of high school. You know, I was really excited to start doing accounting and finance because I was into maths, and at school I'd been pretty good at it, and I'd studied accounting at school, which was probably my first downfall because I came into university, I was studying in first year, and everything that we were doing was stuff that I'd already done, so I just didn't really feel the need to study because I already knew this stuff. This was pretty easy to me. So then we came to the end of first year. My exams had all gone reasonably well. I got B's and C's and I hadn't really needed to put any effort in, so that was great. It was feeling amazing. And then I get into second year and everything gets a lot harder because I've not done any of it before. And so obviously you know where this is going. I get to the end of second year, and probably the worst part of second year was that I didn't actually fail any subjects. My revision schedule was non-existent, I barely put any effort in, but I actually managed to get straight D's in second year. So there wasn't that sort of big F on any of my grades that kind of was that wake-up call that I probably needed at that time. So I then go into third year, and obviously it's going to get a lot harder at this point, and I do start failing some classes. And it was that moment where I got my first sort of fail letter back that I realised, oh yeah, I'm actually at university to try and get a degree. This stuff actually kind of matters for me going forward in my life, or at least at the time I was realizing that that was definitely a possibility. Now, I'm not saying that you need to ace university to get a job or to get the job that you want, but at that time that was the kind of wake-up call that I definitely needed. So post my first sort of exam failure, I kind of realized obviously that I do need to start putting some effort in. And come fourth year, I managed to pretty much get straight B's with a couple C's in there. And I'm not saying that that's absolutely electrifying exam performance, because it's not. You know, people obviously get straight A's and whatnot. But for someone who was on the verge of failing the entire time and not really putting any effort in, that was a very good result for me, and I was quite proud of myself for that. The thing is that it's not just exam performance that was kind of being neglected by me. My own health and my own mental health was being neglected a lot at this period, as I wasn't really going to my university lectures or anything. I wasn't really paying attention to anything my body was telling me, anything people around me were telling me. I was kind of in my own bubble, just kind of riding the wave of going out and getting drunk and coming back and feeling sad. And I've told this story, I feel like loads of times, but I feel like it's very beneficial to kind of look back on for me personally, because it literally was just so stupid, because I just wasn't awake to the fact that I was doing things wrong. And that is the first key to really changing your life at all, is being aware of the fact that something's wrong. So obviously when I was going out and I was getting drunk and I wasn't paying attention and I was still not failing, there was nothing in me that felt like that was incorrect and I could have been doing something else. I thought I was having what normal people would consider a good time, even though I wasn't really. I was just living out this life that other people would enjoy, and so therefore I was thinking to myself, surely I'm going to enjoy this at some point. But what I really needed and what happened was that I started failing, And then I suddenly got this realization, and I became awake to the fact that things weren't right. And as I've just said, like, that is the key to anything changing in anyone's life. And so I guess in that sense, it could be quite good to sort of create your own parameters for what you deem failure. Not that failure has to be a particularly terrible thing, you know, it just took the fact that it was an F on a sheet of paper for me. It doesn't have to be an actual exam or anything. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned, is that, you know, if I want to do something, I need to kind of set myself some parameters that I'm going to work in, because otherwise I could just find myself 6 months down the line not being aware of the fact that I'm doing something wrong because I haven't even really considered what was wrong. Obviously, failure can be put in different perspectives for anyone. I think one of the most important parts about failure is that it is just a perspective game, because if you fail and that is seen as a failure in your eyes, that's your perspective on it, but someone else might look at that and think that you've done really well. And I know a lot of people come across this in their life when they are striving to do something, they get a setback, and then someone will say to them, oh, it's not that bad. Look at X, Y, and Z. These are all the different reasons why that isn't a bad thing. And sometimes it's really hard to actually take that advice on board, or what that other person has actually told you on board. So I'd say if you are in a position where you feel like things aren't going correctly, it is probably time to take a step back and evaluate what's going on, evaluate what your goals actually are, and then you can kind of get a clearer view on whether you are doing things wrong or not. If you've got a goal and it's really hard, then chances are there's going to be a bit in the middle where it's going to not be very fun. Another thing that failure kind of saved for me was the fact that, you know, I'd kind of been going through this university journey of predominantly researching and studying accountancy, and it wasn't making me particularly happy. So in many ways it is quite beneficial that I did fail, because that meant that I sort of, again, took a step back, looked at what was going on, and I realised I don't really like accounting. If I hadn't failed and I kept doing that, then I might have become an accountant. I might be an accountant right now, but instead I'm working towards becoming some sort of investment analyst slash financial advisor. I haven't really worked that one out yet. But what I can tell you is that I don't want to be an accountant, and I have not become an accountant. I always do find it quite interesting to reflect on the periods of my life in which it wasn't going to plan, or it wasn't going as well as I'd hoped. And it is always very interesting that no matter how much I look at it, I always think about the fact that my goals at that period of my life, and it's literally only 2 or 3 years ago, were just either non-existent or just completely different to where I see myself now. And so that's another thing that kind of makes failure even stranger, is that in that moment you can feel like whatever you've done to fail, or whatever you've not done to fail, has like all this bearing on who you are and what you're striving to do. But 2 years down the line, it's not going to matter at all. Chances are 3 years down the line, you're going to have completely different opinions on what you're kind of trying to do in life than you do right now. The human brain is incredibly good at getting itself wrapped up in things that don't matter. And so it is just very important that you do check yourself. Stay aware of what's going on in your head. You know, the amount of times that you can go through like a 2-week lull of just everything seeming negative, and all it takes is for someone to say like one thing to you that makes you realize something, or you can read one thing on your phone or in a book or whatever that's going to change your perspectives on what's happening around you. It happens to me far too often, I'd say, and I think that it is something that I'm trying to work on with like meditative practices and whatnot. But, you know, just stay aware. Stay as aware as you can of your thoughts and feelings, and it will make you feel a lot better about yourself. So to conclude, failure saved my life, and I think that that is probably going to be my motto going forward, is just that, You know, anytime that you hit a major hurdle or a major setback, it is just a learning experience. And that is what you're always told as well, but sometimes it just doesn't quite hit you. But, you know, if this one's hit you, if this one is relatable, or if you want to see any more content in the future about going to university or me being a failure, then please hit that subscribe button down below. I've actually noticed that like 92% of my viewers aren't subscribed, so if you want to hit that, then that would be very, very appreciated. So for those interested, I do upload every Monday at 6 PM, so I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great week until then, and I will speak to you soon.